when it's all said and done, your terms are finished, and you just want to sit down and hang your hat. What legacy do you want to leave?
I want a legacy that he made a difference. Like we look at that Jubilee, I think of God for a legacy. I look at my father's legacy. He built like 6 churches. He has 2 buildings named after him. I use that as my benchmark.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy TeflonJohn coming to you courtesy of the I Am TeflonJohn brand. And today we have an amazing guest, none other than Sterling Wilder of the Lynchburg City. I know everyone knows Sterling from the Jubilee Center and everything that he does in the community, but I'm so glad that he made time for us today. Sterling is always a man after God's heart and also after the people's heart and just making time for the community.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me. This is an honor. So I appreciate you having me today.
Oh yeah, we thank you. We appreciate everything that you're doing in the community. So by we just being close to election season, I would just want to go to some questions that some people sent in and want to ask you.
Yes.
So could you give me a bit of your background that inspired you to go after being a public servant?
Well, I was working as an internal auditor for FDIC in Washington, D.C. for 10 years. When I got out of college. And in the midst of that, I was doing a mentoring program on weekends. I was working in our church, following the direction of God and saying my young people weren't being active. So I said, what can I do to get the young people more active? So I started the youth choir, and then we started the mentoring program. And then in the midst of that program, come back home on weekends, working with young people in our community, I said, I feel like I could do more. So I left my job in 97 to come back home on a full-time basis and do my program full-time. So we would go to like the College Hill Rec Center, play basketball outside. And I said, what would it be like if we had our own basketball gym? What would it be like if we had our own computer lab? What would it be like if we had our own after-school tutoring program? So the vision started coming together. God started speaking to me. And I just said, God, I'm going to seek you first. And as I began to seek God first, all those things started coming in line. This connection, that connection, connected with Habitat and some other people. So in 97, we formed a partnership with Habitat and some other people called Kevin Campbell and Mike Anderson and several others. And we built the Jubilee Center, opened up in February 1999. So that started the work of my ministry officially, where I can really say, God is really moving in this area. So we built the Jubilee Center with some great people. And in the midst of that, you work with our school program, you work with school system a lot. And said, what more can I do? So when I was working with schools and said, well, if you did this, you could do something different in schools. I said, well, let me get on the school board. So I served 9 years on the school board. And then the next level was after being on the school board, we had to always go to city council for our funding. And I'm like, wow. What would happen if I got on city council so I could address the funding to make sure that the schools were secure, to make sure parks were secure, and other everyday life things I was interested in? So I said, let me run for city council. So that's how I kind of got from school board to city council, because I wanted to make sure my voice was being heard. I wanted to make sure I had a seat at the table, whether it's the school board or a city council. When decisions are being made, I wanted to make sure I was at that table of the decisions for my community.
Got you. And so throughout that whole path, throughout that journey that you're telling me, I'm pretty sure by you being a mentor to the young men and the young women at your Jubilee Center, tell me something about the role models that brought you up.
The number one was my pastor, my father, Bishop Norton B. Wilder. He was a great man, a guy. He built five churches. The last one he built when he was right before he passed, he built $1 million edifice on Hill Street. So again, to see this man give his whole life to our community, to the faith, to the religious community, and build churches all over Lynchburg, Charlottesville, Eagle Rock, all over the Covington, all over the Virginia. So to see what he did in our community, to see what he did in our state, so wow, it was an inspiration. So I thank God for being a son of a man of vision. Also my neighbors, Gil Cobbs, he was my middle school principal, lived across the street from me. I would just see him in class and see him in school and be an example to the African-American community. And it was also on city council. Other people, M.W. Thornhill with Community Funeral Home. You're in the black church and the community funeral homes are the main jobs of things of that nature. Just seeing them and have such excellence and the work they do, and they drove the big cars, things like that. As a kid, you get excited about that. But just seeing him be active in politics, active as the mayor, first black mayor in Lynchburg, things that he did. And also Mr. Mangum, Charles Mangum, was the attorney in my neighborhood. Just to see a black face, a black man as an attorney, that was just exciting to see other people of color in different positions. So I always got excited to see that, wow, I could have been a lawyer, or I could be a doctor, or I could be a principal, or whatever. When I see people of color look like me, it just gives me a desire to strive for more.
Yeah. Now, how important is it seeing that you saw as a kid positive black role models? So how important is it for me, I'm in my 40s, to be a positive influence to the young black men that are coming up now?
I think that's so crucial. I have built my mantra, my life on that very motion, because I think as a black man, you hear so many negative things. So I feel like I got to go extra steps. I got to go extra mile to make sure as a positive male role model in our community. So I have degrees in accounting. I have a degree in a master's in business, a master's in education, a master's in education leadership. I got a doctorate in education leadership. Again, even I didn't have to go get a doctorate, but I said, I don't want any excuses for anybody to make for me not to be at that table, or to be qualified, or to be justified at the table. So I made sure I was qualified. I made sure I had credentials. I made sure that the person come behind me to say, wow, he's a doctor. He has a master's in counseling. He has a BS in accounting. I can do that as well. So I've always worked hard. Like I was mentioning, even my job in DC, we have casual Fridays. You could wear jeans on Fridays. I wouldn't wear jeans on Fridays. I would still wear these khakis and a polo shirt or a dress shirt, because I didn't want them to give me no mop. I want to make sure, I don't want them to downgrade me and say, oh, he's this. I don't want to give them any ammunition to say I'm not qualified to be at that table. So I've always worked extra hard to make sure I had my seat at the table. And if I didn't get at my table, I would build my own table.
Okay. So I'm gonna throw a term at you, and you give me what you think it means. Public servant. What does that mean to you? Like, not the Webster definition, but what does that mean to you?
There's a program I took at Morehouse called Servant Leadership. I like Martin Luther King, being a servant. Because you gotta be able to give, be the voice for your community, give to your community. Nowadays people are about themselves, and we've got to get away from that. Because the community is challenging, with crimes and heartaches and poverty issues. We've got to get away from that negativity. So we got to give back to our community and make it better. Okay.
So I know you're running for city council, third term. You've been in that 2 terms, and I'm pretty sure that can be very stressing. Learning about politics and seeing what goes on. So what motivates you, and why are you running for a 3rd term?
Again, the last election we saw where people came in, we thought a person was going to win and they didn't. Again, and I was pushing them to run because everything was at stake for our community. Because the city projects, our schools, all the things, people don't realize all the things are at stake. The person you appoint for a school board, they're appointed by city council members. So you got to make sure you have that voice. And I feel like we have made so much progress. I did not want to go back. We're not going back. I don't want to go back to my community and say, I failed. I want to make sure we continue to go forward. So to continue to have that voice, because that voice they were trying to eliminate that voice. So I want to do what I could to make sure I had that seat at the table. That's why I'm running the 3rd term. I don't want to give up this seat because my community needs a voice. That's the concern about them, and not a voice of others, but a voice of the inner city parts of our community.
Gotcha. Great answer. So you being on there already 2 terms, running for 3rd, what are some of your biggest accomplishments that you would like the audience to know?
So many accomplishments. I appreciate the opportunity to build like Heritage High School, to be a part of that conversation. Sandusky Middle School, building schools for our children. Even have different partnerships with our community policing and our community 911 officials, 911 operators, and firefighters. Being at that table, help get increased wages for them and other city workers. City workers work so hard. You may be home in a snowstorm. City workers are still out there working for the snow or whatever the case may be. So again, making sure our city staffs are better compensated. Make sure we have a new police department, because the last one was just horrible. So being at the table where we can help build a new police department. Make sure right now it's a hard time trying to get firefighters and police officers, things of that nature. So make sure they have well compensated wages, at least for the market in this area, have some of the highest wages. So I continue to do that. When I was on the school board, my goal was to make sure our teachers had some of the highest wages, in which we did when we did salary time. Our teachers at that time had the highest wages. So again, now I'm on city council, I'm looking at that side to make sure our police, fire, 911 operators, that they have some of the highest wages in this particular area.
Gotcha. So what skill sets or perspectives do you bring to the table that make you different from your other candidates?
One thing, I have tried to narrow my skill sets. I have a degree in accounting. That's number one, because I've been an internal auditor for 10 years. I have in government accounting, so I have a degree in accounting. My master's in counseling and work with people on a day-to-day basis. My doctorate in education leadership, again, makes me more well-rounded in the education realm, but also in the business realm. So I've done additional work at Harvard, also at Morehouse, also at the University of Virginia, the Darden School of Business. So again, I have skills that have kind of been fine-tuned by the academic media, academic outlets. And also, because of Jubilee, I have about 30 plus partners that I work with. So any partnership that I have or work with, like for example, a gentleman came in to Jubilee because he wanted us to buy some property, some land near James Crossing. I knew I didn't really need to buy any land, but I said, I work with the Lighthouse. Let me call the Lighthouse the Beloved Community. So I connected those two groups together. Now the Beloved Community is building like 40 houses starting next year in that area next past James Crossing. Again, because of connections, because of partnerships. So using my partnerships, the network that I have to benefit the citizens of Ward 2 and the citizens in all of Lynchburg.
Okay, so when you say Ward 2 and Ward 1, and could you break down what a ward is and how many wards there are in Lynchburg?
Yeah, so there are 4 wards in our community, and they're spread all out. Each one has about 16,000 or so. We just we adjusted that about 2 years ago, so they're kind of scattered all over the city. So, like for example, I'm in Ward 2. Ward 2 goes from where Garland Rose or Riverside Park is to come back around to the Riverman Avenue downtown area to like where Lynchburg General is, the area. Then Ward 3, Ward 1 goes from Easy Glass, or not really Easy Glass, goes from Garland Rose, Riverside Park the other way to the Boonesboro Way. Mm-hmm. That's Ward 1, goes all the way down Langhorne Road, the area, the back of that portion. And then Ward 3 kind of goes from like the stadium, the Liberty, that piece of Ward 3 of the area. Ward 4 kind of goes to the other side of the stadium, the other side of Fort Avenue, and wraps around and butts against Ward 1. So it's all scattered throughout our whole city. And since like the 1970s, when they created the ward system, they kind of created Ward 2, kind of be more like the inner city, would make sure the African-American community had a voice, so that would make one of the stronger communities for the African-American community to have a voice.
Okay. All right. So what do you think some of the most pressing issues for your ward, for Ward 2?
Some of the main issues are crime and poverty. Those issues we continue to have challenges with, so we continue to bring resources to the table to address those issues. That every day we had 8 murders, I think this year. It's like 4 in one weekend, which is horrible for Lynchburg and crazy. Yeah. But some of them weren't only I think one was in Ward 2, but 2 was in Ward 2. One was in Ward 2, excuse me. The others are different wards. But again, we still had some challenges in Ward 2. So again, we've got to all work with the community to address poverty, to address crime. We got to do that, address violence. So with my Jubilee hat, having the partners and make sure people get better wages. So we have career programs from nurses aid to PCA classes to cybersecurity classes, just doing career areas that give people better wages. So using the network, the community, the Jubilee Center to form partnerships so we can get people better wages. Work with our police department and the one community, one voice. So the community is the community policing. So people aren't so afraid of the police department. So they come to monthly meetings and ask police and firefighters those kind of questions. And then go into the community and have cookouts and build partnerships and like doing the Toys for Tots or the trunk or treat thing. So just making sure the police and the firefighters out there, the community, building relationships with our citizens.
Gotcha. When you speak about the citizens, especially the youth, how do you think education plays a role in what we're seeing with the violence and how that can affect the different wards in the communities?
One thing the Bible says, our people perish for lack of knowledge. And just sometimes people don't have the knowledge about all the dangers of weapons. Sometimes I think they think maybe whether it might be a video game or maybe listen to a certain music and might say, oh, this is okay to do this. I'm gonna have me a gun and be strapped or whatever. You know, we got to make sure people are educated.
Yeah.
That's why we do a mentoring program on second and fourth Saturdays here at Jubilee. Now for over 30 years, I've been doing that program, talking to young men, being a male role model, a mentor for them, talking to them about education, talking to them about their goals. You don't have to go to 4-year college. You go to a technical school, you get certifications, come on, making more than the person with a doctorate degree. You know, I'm an example of that. So again, making sure people have the resources to excel and stressing the point of education is crucial. Education is key.
Gotcha. So let's switch and let's talk about the dynamics of the city council. So I know a lot of people told me to make sure that I bring up, you know, when they're watching the news, they're always seeing where you got these heated arguments, heated debates, but they're not getting enough detail. So could you shed light, or if you can, talk about that?
You know, over the past 2 years, it has been chaos. Normally, it's been like 5 Democrats, about 2 Republicans, and it switched 2 years ago where you have 5 Republicans and 2, some call independents, are Democrats that they labeled us as. The Republicans, there's kind of 2 factions in Lynchburg. They're like the mega Republicans, and then there's the regular Republicans, and those 2 factions don't get along. So again, it's been chaos. The philosophies are different. One thinks this, one thinks that, and those 2 are not meeting together. So it's been just total chaos over the past 2 years, and that friction. They were saying now Republicans have control. They can do this, they can do that. But the problem is you have 2 factions of the Republican Party. So it's been even more division. When we had 5 Democrats so-called to 2 Republicans, it has been horrible. I mean, just being in the meetings, it has been so much chaos. It's really sad.
Yeah,
name calling is horrible.
And I can only imagine in today's climate. So what steps do you take to try to foster a collaborative type of environment?
You know, I try to continue to be the example. I try to be the sound voice. I try to work where I can, but also I work with 4 other people, with 3 other people, try to get them elected to city council, called Lynchburg Better Together. That has been my drive, because some people are not going to change. I realized that. You know, you come into an area and you say, oh, I could do this, I could do that. You know, I could build a grocery store here, I could do that. But then you realize when you get there, look, it's not like that. You got to make certain changes.
Yeah.
So to make the change that we got to do, we got to elect different people that love our community, not about a political party, not about with a big R or a big D behind their name, but about an L, a love, that they love our community. And we have to do that. So we've got to elect people that love our community. It's not about a party that you're a part of, but because I love my community, and that's why I'm voting that way. So we got to vote for people like Lynchburg Better Together. You know, Randy Smith in Ward 1, myself, Ward 2, Dr. James Coleman, Ward 3, April Watson, Ward 4. You know, we've been running as a team because we care about our community. We working since January, so we definitely love each other. So compared to what has the chaos in our city council, you know, you got to have the people elected that appreciates one another, that respects one another, that's not going to call people names, that's going to love one another. And we get along so well because it's about our community. It's not about a personal agenda. It's not about this or that. It's about what's best for the citizens of Lynchburg. And that's what we got to do.
Yeah. So I know I've heard nothing but positive feedback about you, people that go to the city council meetings. So could you tell us how you handle those, heated moments, when they're attacking you or attacking some of the citizens?
I just pray, and I try to stay focused. In order to get things accomplished, you're going to have some struggles, and that's going to be given to you. So I look at this as the fire phase of life where we got to struggle to get there. Even though it's like political climate, my problem is I'm a people pleaser. So I like pleasing people. So being a politician, whatever you want to call it, in this kind of area, it's going to be hard because people are going to talk about you just to talk about you. No matter how good you are, no matter how much good you have done, they're going to talk about you just because you don't have the right initials. You're not an R, you're not a D. So they're going to dog you and talk about you. I don't care how you won every award possible in that community. You got doctorates, you got this, you foster children, you got this, you got that. But again, I don't like you because you weren't red today. Yeah. So they're going to find any reason. It has amazed me how mean and how cruel people can be. So for a person like me, who's like a people pleaser, that's really challenging being in a political arena and not to take it personal. So I have to really set myself back and have tough skin and just keep moving forward because I know it's for my community and I'm fighting for my community. So it's the part you got to take. I think about people like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Sojourner Truth, all the people, and Frederick Douglass, people that got beat, people that got attacked, people got killed, like Emmett Till, because he was walking from a store, he got killed. Hung and drowned. It was just horrible how they mutilated his body. Again, people like that on a bus ride of freedom, just so people could vote. Buses got bombed. The 4 girls at Alabama church in Alabama, got attacked and bombed and blew up. Because again, the churches were being the forefront of the civil rights movement, so they attacking the churches. So again, I just think about all those people that what they had to go through. So I try to stay focused. I thank God that we are here at this point, but I can't give up now. We can't go back. We got to go forward.
Gotcha. So in what ways can City Council improve the transparency and the communication to the public?
One thing, our meetings are all open. Anybody can come to the meeting. They're live streamed. They're on Facebook. They're on I think maybe like a YouTube channel. So you can the channel that cable station you can go to. So you can always look at all the areas. You can do FOIA requests to get some of our emails. You can get FOIA requests, make more transparency. But again, they publish our agenda because it's a public body. They have to publish our agenda. They have to publish the notes. So it's really it's transparent. Avenues, so you can get any information you want. You can really get. You got to look at it. Go to the website. And you can pull down any information about that.
Gotcha. All right. So as far as your vision for for the future, just looking ahead, what is your vision for Lynchburg in the next several years to come?
Just continue to keep fighting for our school system, keep fighting for our community. And right now we're at a crossroads. We're able to close schools. They want to open schools. They want to build new schools. I want to make sure I'm at that table, make sure that voice is being heard about our school system, make sure our kids' needs are being the forefront, not about, this or that, but our kids are being the forefront. They're our future. Education is crucial. They shut down schools in Pennsylvania County and all that kind of thing. Make sure we don't have another Prince Edward County. Make sure we don't have another situation like that. So I'm going to keep fighting for that. Work on housing projects. I want to see, right now, the affordable housing is so hard, getting that. Rents like so high, $1,000 plus a month. I want to continue to work with nonprofit agencies like Rush Homes and the Beloved Community, the Lighthouse, Habitat for Humanity, continue to work with those areas. The Ramp trying to build a homeless shelter. Again, renovated homeless shelter. So again, continue to work with those partners so we can have housing for our community. If it's temporary housing or long-term housing, work with all those avenues for our citizens. And then the third thing I'm going to do is really work on better wages. So work with better partnerships. Like Arriva is going to be building, hire 500 people. The starting salary was like $100,000. Make sure people in the community, especially Ward 2, they have a seat at their table and they have the training necessary for that. So using the Jubilee Avenue and then training programs to make sure we are at that table. We are training people for those positions to get them out of poverty, get them out of Section 8 housing, get them off of welfare, get into a better job, a better lifestyle that can sustain them for the rest of their lives and break those cycles of poverty.
All right. Now, what innovative ideas or projects, when you're reelected, would you like to see done that would improve the quality of life for the community?
The biggest thing, as I just mentioned, is a big career program, training programs. Because we got to get people, we did a poverty project some years ago, and you looked at the poverty rate was like 20%. And some people living in poverty don't want to improve. Some of them have mental capacity where they can't really improve.
Yeah.
But then you have a portion of people that really want to get out of poverty, they want to do better. So finding that population of people that want to do better and make sure we have resources connected to them, not necessarily always use the city resources, but our community resources, and partnering together and bringing partnerships together so we can do that. We can reduce this poverty rate in our community.
Okay. All right. Now we just want to get into just your personal insight. So what advice can you give to individuals who aspire to take on leadership roles?
I did a project a couple years ago called A Seat at the Table. Again, just trying to show advice of how I did it. I'm always open to that. to show like the next, because I got to work on the next generation. Look at my age. I'm on the other side of the river. So I want to make sure people younger than me, like yourself and others younger, are coming up here and see how you get on boards, how to be active in the community, how you can have a voice in the community. So again, sharing with what I've done and how I've done that and how I've got my seat at the table and how you get a seat at the table as well, and encouraging people, get on this board, get on that board. You can do for this. Start on the planning commission, start on the PTA advisory committee, and just get people, encouraging people to have a seat at the table and make sure they are voting. It's crucial.
Yeah, and I know you're a big man of faith and big man of God. And I know with politicians, sometimes it's hard to maintain a level of integrity and balance. But what is your advice to those who are in leadership who struggle with maintaining a level of integrity, and how do you advise they go about doing that?
I don't have to compromise. So I'm strong in my faith. I'm strong in what I do, even though they've called me all kind of names other than son and everything but a child of God. But I continue to have my integrity. I continue to have my voice. So I never have to compromise my standards. I do what's right. I just continue to do what's right because, God has placed me in this position. He's placed me in that seat. So I recognize that He placed me at Jubilee. He's given me the resource that we had to do what we've done. Again, I'm a seed sower. I'm a tither because I've seed sowed and sowed seeds. I'm a tither. The Lord has blessed my steps. The Lord has blessed my network. The Lord has blessed my territory. So again, because of that, I continue to honor God. And I wouldn't want to shame Him in doing things that's not pleasing in His sight. So that's number one, is my faith in God, because He has placed me in this position. So I cherish that role that He has placed me in, and I continue to honor Him.
So give me a personal story that you've, been through, a personal experience that led you to be a leader.
I think just the main thing was just seeing kids not being active in church. Some 30 plus years ago, seeing them sitting back in church, they didn't have like really cell phones back then, both so just talking about one another and just saying, I love God. And these kids are not accepting Him. These kids are not being active. The kids are not listening to the word of God. What can I do to change that? It's all started with me saying, being an example, and how can I get other people to be the voice or listen to the voice of God? And what avenue? It's not always preaching from the pulpit. Yeah. That's not always the avenue of ministry. The ministry avenue is take them to a basketball game, take them to a basketball. And I don't even play basketball, but take them to a basketball game, take them to a court, and then giving them food, and then talking about the Lord, talking about relationship with God. That's how it all started for me. So I continue that same avenue.
Okay. So what values guide you in making your decisions as a public figure?
The main thing is my relationship with the Lord, and my values is about relationship with God. So I have those Christian, my father called us saints, never really called us Christians, but the values of a saint that I continue to do and continue to have, that's the same thing that guides my principles, the same thing that guides my lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Doing what's best for the community, not about a personal agenda, but what's best for my community. We all, we take on the principles of Jesus, it's not about it's about all of us, and how it's not all about my wealth, how rich I can be, or build a bigger barn, but what can I do for my brother who's struggling, who's in poverty, who needs some lights, who needs a better place to stay? How can I support them? What services can I do to bring them out of that? And not necessarily talk about government resources, but community resources, and how we can pull our brothers up together, so how we can work together to do that.
Okay. So as we approach November 5th, 2024, what message do you want to convey to the voters?
The main thing is study. Main thing is to study who's running and make the best choices and vote. You gotta vote. You gotta have your voice. Make sure you are voting and make sure your voice is heard, and study. When the last election, people says, I didn't know they was doing that. I didn't know the person was doing that. I'm like, we've been saying it. Make sure you listen and study about all the people before you vote. Don't just say, I'm going to vote for this person because I like the way the hairstyle is, or because of the color of their skin, or because they're a big D or a big R, or whatever the case may be. I'm going to vote for the person that's best for this job. Research that person and make the best decision for that job that you're going to elect.
Now, how can listeners support you as we lead up to the election day?
They can go to a website. It's called www.lynchburgbettertogether. That's the network of people we're working with, lynchburgbettertogether.org. That's the way to, .com. Let's Work Better Together is the main thing. Go to that and they can see what the website says, what the candidates and their platform, and see what they've been doing in the community since January. And not people just woke up one day and said, I'm going to run on city council. These are people who have proven record, who have been working in the community for like 20 plus years. So we have a network of proven people. Some people just came into the city a year ago. Some people have never served in public service whatsoever. One person didn't even know we had a visitor center in our community. So you don't know anything about the city. Yeah. They don't know we do community policing. They're not knowledgeable, but people perish for lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. So make sure you are understanding and reading about the areas of the people that are running. Make sure you understand them and their philosophy. All
right. So besides casting a vote, how can people within the community participate in governance?
Key is being that voice, coming to city council meetings, going to school board meetings. Just don't sit out. We have a PTA meeting at Jubilee, and you'll get they'll bring in the whole staff of teachers from Harris Elementary. They might get 3 parents. That's horrible.
Wow.
The voting precinct. Getting back to this, Ward 2 of the 15,000 so people that can vote in Ward 2 at the last election 2 years ago, it was like maybe 1,500, like a little more than 10% of people voted in Ward 2. We've got to do better. We've got to figure out a way to energize our people. We got to figure out a way to say, you got to have a voice. You can't just sit this one out. And even not just about me, but about all the other people that's coming behind us, the other people that's on that ticket. So Ward 2 really got to show up in order to get people like Gloria Witt elected. If we sit home and don't say, oh, Sterling got it, whatever, we can't take nothing for granted. I've learned from that last election, when they elected a person who's currently suing the city and who got terminated in his position as a city person, now they're on city council making decisions. That what people say, oh, I didn't know that. Know your research. Some of the people running now went to Mary Jane, one of our council members' house with a rifle, because you didn't support the Second Amendment thing. So we're going to stand in front of your house, a widow, we're going to stand in front of your house with rifles. And now they're trying to get on city council. You better know what's happening. You better know who you're putting on city council. I just feel like, I don't want to say I'm be honest, I feel like they let us down by not showing up, by not voting, by us sitting this one out, say, oh, I don't care. It's always like, I don't care attitude, oh, it doesn't affect me. It affects your kids. The person on city council is going to appoint your school board. Do you have children? If you have children, the person you will put on the school or city council is going to appoint the people on the school board. And now, once they've done it now, the past 2 years, one of the main jobs was, will you get rid of the superintendent? That was the interview questions. Will you get rid of the superintendent? Now she's gone. Mission accomplished. Who are you putting on city council? Who are they putting on the school board? What kind of agenda? You better look. If we don't wake up, we're going to be back in 1960, not being able to get on the bus. If we don't wake up. I mean, we sit home and sit back and say, well, it doesn't make a difference how my one vote doesn't make a difference. My brother, my sister, at this point right now, every vote counts. Every single vote counts. You need to get up and not have all this early voting. This Saturday, the early voting goes well as Saturday, Monday through Friday. Last day for early voting is on Saturday, November the 2nd. You have all these avenues now. You can get up and vote.
Wow. So what do you think the disconnect is with the other 10,000 or so people?
I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to really understand. I really want to understand why. I think it's the apathy where like, I don't think my voice matters. I don't think my voice matters. I don't think my vote matters. I don't think I'm valued enough, and we try to show that you're important, you value, we try to important. It's all over the country is that where people, especially people of color, don't get out and vote like they should. Yeah. We could have such a voice if we work together. Like there's a property open. I was looking at something on Gray Street today, a complex. It's like running down. It's like really gross. What happened if some brothers got together and say, look, let's pull some resources together and let's take over this property. And I appreciate people like Chopper and Mr. West. They're doing an amazing job downtown, but that's two. What about me and you or some of the other networks? How can we form a partnership? Why can't we work together? I appreciate what they've done. But how about all the other ones not doing anything? Let's work together. Let's put resource together. How can we make our community better together?
So, and we've been hearing it since, the last couple of years, but they say this could be one of the most important presidential elections that we ever vote for, right? And could you look into your camera and just tell why that is?
Oh, wow. This is the most crucial election ever because it determines on who you're going to put into the White House, who you feel. But I believe in Kamala Harris. I just do not believe in, in the record of Donald Trump, what he's done in the past. Like one of the things he said he's going to do is get pardoned the people that stormed the Capitol on January the 6th. That right there should tell you something is wrong. When police officers, when people died that day trying to defend the Capitol, but yet he wants to give them a pardon. Some of the other things he has said is ludicrous. Like even to the story yesterday at a rally in New York, they said Puerto Rico was a floating, dumping trash truck or something in Puerto Rico. How can you talk about a state like Puerto Rico of that nature? Talk about people from Puerto Rico. That's horrible. So people, all you see all these things that bring division. We need to have someone to bring unity. So we have got to vote more than ever. This race is so close. Every vote counts. Every vote matters. You matter. Your vote matters. You have a voice. And if you don't get up and vote, you're going to look at November the 6th and say, what happened? Why didn't I vote? And when things start to change, they're looking at helping those. You're looking at a man who didn't pay income taxes. How much income tax did you pay? He did not even pay income taxes. That tells you right there, something is wrong. So we've got to vote more than ever. We got to get up and vote. Take a friend, take an enemy, take anybody you can. We all got to vote.
Yeah, I mean, because you hear it, they're saying that this is the most important, so we thank you for all your services.
Yes, sir.
That you've been on city council. But just for the sake of time, I don't want to hold you, but I do want to ask you this question. So
yes.
When it comes to, Sterling Wilder's been on the, city council 10, 12, how many terms can you serve?
Many as you want to. The limit on school board is only 9 years.
Okay.
City council, you can serve as much as you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say you serve when you're like, it's time to hang it up. It's time to pass the torch. I've mentored. I got some other people coming up. So when it's all said and done, your terms are finished and you just want to sit down and hang your hat. What legacy do you want to leave?
I want a legacy that he made a difference. Like we're looking at Jubilee, I think God for a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I look at my father's legacy. He built like 6 churches. He has 2 buildings named after him. I use that as my benchmark.
Yeah.
I use it as a staple. He built 5 churches. He has 2 buildings named after him. Not necessarily I want a building named after me, but again, it gives me a benchmark. It gives me a standard.
Yeah.
The Bible says greater works will your children do. I just believe in doing greater works. And not about the buildings and the things, but again, the souls that were saved through his ministry. I mean, thousands and thousands of souls were saved through his ministry. I want to be able to have the same impact where thousands of families reconnected and gave their life to Christ because of this ministry, because of the work that I've done. Because we always, with the mentor program, we talk about the Lord. We talk about relationship with God. That's why I do what I do is because of my relationship with God. I don't push down their throat, but I let them see me as an example of a man of God and what a man of God does. So when they look at my lifestyle and see my character, say, wow, that's what a man of God does. He doesn't go here drinking. He doesn't go have babies all over the place. He don't do this and he'll not do that. He supports his community and is consistent with it. I want to be consistent with supporting my community and let people see that. And it's not about titles. I don't care about titles. I don't care about this. I want to make sure that he won souls to Christ. And that's the legacy I want to leave. That he left a legacy of people that are serving Christ, and they are repeating that legacy. They are winning souls to Christ as well.
Powerful. So before we end, this is always a show about reinvention, helping people reinvent. So I want you to look in that camera and just speak to somebody for maybe like 60 seconds on somebody that's struggling, somebody that's ready to give up. They have dreams, they have goals. If you could give them just a message.
The message, my life message is seek ye first the kingdom of God and all the things shall be added unto thee. If you seek God first, Make God first in your life, whatever your desires are. I wanted this, I wanted that. I sought God first. I got off of Sterling's agenda that God, I want to seek you first. As I continue to seek God first, all these things came in line. We had some struggles at Jubilee, some financial struggles, but I can look now and see how God has blessed because I've been consistent. I've stayed true to the mission. I've stayed true to the call, and I've seen God bless. So don't be weary and well-doing. You will reap if you faint not.
Thank you, Sterling. We appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you for the opportunity, for your platform. I appreciate you. I just thank God for you, for your vision.
Thank you. Like I said, we appreciate all your work. We wish you the best on November 5th. And as I always say, it's even though it's a pretty grueling time right now, and it's a lot of violence, you always got to see and find the good in everything.
Yes.
Changing violence and everything starts in the home. And as long as you're led by God, then you're led by the right one.
Amen.
And as I always say, one love, but it's your choice to be blessed.
Amen.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy TeflonJohn, and I would like to personally thank you for listening to this episode of the Art of Reinvention Podcast Show. Follow us on social media on TikTok at the Reinvention Podcast, YouTube at the Art of Reinvention Talk Show, and Instagram at the Art of Reinvention Podcast. And you can hit us up at www.teflonjohn.com. That's John spelled John for all motivational content in Teflon Radio. And again, as I always say, one love, but it's your choice to be blessed.